Chapter 290. A blinding flash of lightning struck down into a patch of forest. No, it wasn't that. The divine tree and Panis were stepping through a barrier of lightning, with countless dazzling white bolts filling the space around them. Panis couldn't help but break into a sweat, as it was clear that ahead lay a land of death, where nothing awaited them but total annihilation. The divine tree explained that this was the lightning barrier. All beings below third-order transcendent would be killed by the lightning, while even fourth-order beings would suffer severe injuries. Clearly, this was a highly effective magical wall against intruders. Alright, now the divine tree will dive in by himself and command Panis to hide. Then he used his roots to tightly bind Panis, causing her to moan in pleasure, probably thinking there would be a tight binding and candles placed on her. The divine tree stomped his foot hard, shattering the ground. At this moment, his speed had reached an extreme level, close to the speed of sound. This was necessary to get through the thunder forest, minimizing damage to the smallest possible extent. But look, the divine tree still appeared too small against those gigantic lightning bolts. At this point, the divine tree had to taste the power of the white lightning. It was truly painful. Indeed, even a fourth-order being would struggle to survive. Saying that, he summoned a golden lightning bolt, transforming it into a spear in his hand. Then he used his strength to launch this lightning spear forward. The direction of the launch was towards the sky above. As soon as the lightning spear of the divine tree reached a sufficient height, it exploded with a loud bang. A powerful golden lightning bolt struck down from the sky. Alright, the divine tree can now move freely. Because of the dark clouds above, the cause of the thunder forest was split in two, revealing a safe path in the middle. Now the divine tree could leisurely proceed. The knowledge that his teachers had imparted in school was indeed useful. Panis was released, and upon seeing this scene, her eyes sparkled with admiration, thinking that her master was too formidable. Could it be that he was already higher than the fourth-order early stage? The divine tree cheerfully asked Panis what level she thought he was currently at. She immediately struck a cool pose like a prophet, declaring that the divine tree must have reached the middle stage of the fourth order. Only that could explain the earlier display. The divine tree looked directly into Panis's eyes, his charming face asking her, "Really?" Damn, this handsome face once again stirred Panis's primal instincts, causing her entire body to flush red. Her master was too handsome. What was this dark elf figure? It was irresistibly alluring. And so, these two flew for 3 days and 3 nights. The divine tree, feeling impatient, asked if they were close to the Dragon Island. Panis flew ahead and sincerely advised her master to forget about that island, as the dragons were too powerful and would not cooperate with them. Not to mention, within the dragon tribe, there was an ancient dragon with extraordinary strength, surpassing the ordinary. It was rumored that it had already reached the fifth order. At this point, I would like to explain further. Even though this planet experienced the return of spiritual energy 10 years earlier than Earth, it might still be in stage 1 or 2, because it does not have entities like the Dark King that stimulate the tides of spiritual energy, resulting in a slower rate of mutation here. Clearly, a transcendent creature of the fifth order in this world is something akin to a god, without any rivals. This was not too surprising for the divine tree. However, it ignited his insatiable greed, making him even more determined to convince the dragons. Seeing her master exhibit excitement in his eyes, Panis became even more frightened and asked if he did not feel hesitant at all. The divine tree looked at his subordinate and questioned him in a stern voice, asking if he did not believe in his strength. Oh, while he really wanted to say he did, the truth was quite the opposite. The divine tree found it inconvenient to reveal everything. He could only tell Panis that those at the top of this world would either cooperate with him or oppose him. So instead of waiting for them to become adversaries, the divine tree would proactively invite them to cooperate first. If that didn't work, he would eliminate them. After her master's firm declaration, Panis suddenly felt braver and stronger, thinking that he even wanted to kill the ancient dragon. It didn't matter how strong he was, just his will alone was admirable. Then she declared that she would always stand by her master's side, no matter the situation. Afterward, Panis realized that it was a confession, and she swooned with happiness and embarrassment. Taking advantage of the moment before those elves sent stronger beings to hunt them down, The divine tree accelerated rapidly. He needed to reach Dragon Island as soon as possible. This planet had a total of 7 large territories. One of them was Dragon Island, and this species currently stood at the top of the food chain. The Elven Forest was also one of those 7 territories. Today, the queen summoned her son. The beautiful elf queen lamented to her child that she sensed a powerful dark elf had just emerged. However, all the search teams they sent out had not returned. Therefore, finding that dangerous elf was crucial. Otherwise, this world would face great turmoil, so now she could only rely on her outstanding child. The young elf boy furrowed his brow upon hearing his mother's words and immediately accepted the mission. He would summon more guards to investigate, and would also notify the elders of the elf tribe to prepare for any potential situations. At the place of the ancient tree, the war god was questioning the ancient tree about why he had summoned them, crossing his arms in a very arrogant manner as he spoke. The dream god reminded him to reconsider his behavior, as the ancient tree was the first mutated being in this world, after all. As soon as those words were spoken, Wardam immediately changed his tone to a cold one, telling the dream god to know who he was speaking to. The nature god, in the form of a 4-legged beast, intervened, saying everyone should stop arguing because it was clear that something important had caused the ancient tree to summon them. The ancient tree then spoke, revealing that he had detected a powerful entity appearing in the north of the Thunder Barrier, and hoped that the gods could investigate. And he also reminded them not to be careless, as the ancient tree still did not know the strength of the opponent. The dream god and the nature god obediently agreed. Meanwhile, the war god turned away, declaring that the ancient tree should not order him around. He knew what he needed to do. He did not forget to turn back and remind everyone that he was cooperating with the ancient tree of life only because that great figure had agreed to grant him half of this planet, so there should be no misunderstandings here. Then Wardam shot off without another word. The nature god understood the situation. When Wardam was expanding his territory, he had been stopped by the ancient tree sending the elf tribe to confront him, and since then, he had been harboring resentment. The ancient tree told the dream god that now he could only rely on his power to observe every movement in this world. This was clearly a compliment, and the dream god immediately declared that he would find that name at all costs. Meanwhile, the divine tree and Panis were still diligently making their way to Dragon Island. End of chapter 291.